and welcome to the program. Last time we have examined a few different ways to consider the origins of making of man. Let us now consider a few more details in regard to historic research. According to discoveries so far, when the Nephilim first landed on planet Earth around 450,000 years ago, it is believed that the creation or the genetic engineering of man must have taken place around 300,000 years ago, and not millions of years, as some might conveniently believe in. However, the Nephilim people did not create any kind of mammals, including primates. We now know that the Adam of the Bible cannot be the genus Homo or intelligent man, but only one of the ancestors. And so we are encouraged to question, could it be at all possible that Nephilim had created the very first man? It is not our intention to confuse anyone. However, it's crucial to understand the fact which lies in the story of slumbering Enki wanting to be informed, and he was told that the gods have decided to form Adamu. Upon waking up, he had said, "The creature whose name you uttered exists." And the other said, "Bind upon it." And the creature, which already exists, the image of the gods. The Nephilim did not create man out of nothing, but took an existing creature and probably manipulated it and to bind upon it the image of the gods. Man is the resultant product of design and evolution. Thus, he is the product of the so-called gods. Man was indeed thought of and engineered in the labs of other highly intelligent beings for some time around 300,000 years ago, favorably for the Nephilims and others to take the ape man or Homo erectus and implant in him their own image and likeness so that they could easily be manipulated, enter into and use them like their own gloves, even diving suits. Confusing? Well, evolution and the Near Eastern tales of man's creation are not at all conflicting. However, those stories explain and complement each other, for without the creativity of people like the Nephilim, not opposing ones, it needs to be understood that modern man would still be millions of years away on the evolutionary tree, and there would be no modern man existing today. We can now go back in time and visualize the circumstances and events taking place on Earth. An ice age was experienced, followed by a warmer climate, which speeded up more advanced forms of man-like ape, if you can accept it, and was named in modern languages as the Homo erectus, or standing up man. Nephilim might have created or even manipulated them into any image designed, as it probably was elsewhere in the universe. An animal like human was also described in the Epic of Gilgamesh. The text tells about what Enkidu, the one born on the steppes, was like before he became civilized. He was shaggy, with hair on his whole body. He was endowed with head hair like a woman. He knows neither people nor land. Garbed he is one of the green fields. With gazelles he feeds on grass. With the wild beasts he jostles at the watering place. With the teeming creatures, in the water his heart delights. The Arcadian texts also describe an animal like man. Now, a hunter, one who traps, faced him at the watering place. When the hunter saw him, his face became motionless. His heart was disturbed. Overclouded his face, for woe had entered his belly. There was more than fear after the hunter who held the savage, who may have been a barbarian fellow from the depths of the steppes. He was a primitive and a savage. One needs actually no better description of an ape-man, shaggy, roaming nomad who knows neither people nor land, garbed in leaves like one of the green fields, feeding on grass and living among the animals. Yet he was not without substantial intelligence, knowing how to tear up the traps and fill up the pits dug to catch the animals. He protects his animal friends from being caught by the alien intergalactic hunters. Many cylinder seals have been found depicting the shaggy ape man among his animal friends. There was a need to obtain a primitive, and the Nephilim and the other people of space had readily available solution to this. They needed to domesticate a suitable creature. However, this Homo erectus posed a major problem. He was very intelligent and wild, and therefore not suited for the envisaged task. His physical self needed to be altered. He had to be able to grasp and use the tools of the various spacefaring folk, or even the Nephilim, walk and bend just like the gods when in the fields and mines. He had to have better and more capable brains, although not quite like those of the gods, but enough to understand speech, simple commands, and tasks allotted to him. He needed sufficient enough intelligence and comprehension to become truly an Amelu, the servant. According to late Zechariah Sitchin, as with the wisdom gained through the ancient texts, that the modern man could have originated on the 12th planet. There probably were mutations, variations, accelerations, and retardations caused by local conditions. Yet same genetic codes and the same chemistry of life was found in all living plants and animals on planet Earth. This may have guided the development of varieties of life forms on planet Earth within the same directions as on the 12th planet, as with life and the creation of man on Earth. However, we are not going to consider what we have so far spoken about as the ultimate reality in this matter. Various forms of life on Earth could be observed developing, and the Nephilim, amongst many others, including Ea, the chief scientist, had some time to consider what had happened and what had been so far achieved. In many accounts, their planet seems to have seeded Earth with its nature and life. Therefore, humans who were similar to them, though in a less evolved form, a gradual process of domestication through the generations of breeding and selection had to be ongoing. Ea commenced the process of quick evolutionary advancement of Homo erectus, the upright man. In other words, genetic modification. As we understand today that there is a complex biological process whereby living organisms reproduce themselves, creating progeny that resembles their parents. All living things contain in their own cells of chromosomes minute bodies within each cell which hold the entire blueprint and complete hereditary instructions, even the programming for that organism, which in itself is a multiplication process. We are also familiar with the process of artificial insemination, which is applied unto female human egg. The real challenge lies in cross-fertilization between different families within the same as well as different species. Modern Earthian science came a long way from the development of the first hybrid corns, rice or wheat, and as crossbreeding of domesticated animals, such as the canine species with Alaskan wolves, and mule being a blend of a mare and a donkey, remember? This indicates the possibility to manipulate man's own reproduction system. Today, we consider also the new ways of gene manipulation. This is going to be a separate subject. Today, we will also have the subject of cloning, which is of Greek origin, meaning the twig. You get a little cutting or a twig from a plant and implant it into others so that they produce hundreds of similar plants. For example, red roses with white roses. But this never works with primates or even humans. But a Dr. John Gordon in England replaced the nucleus of a fertilized egg of a frog with the nuclei of another frog, and they formed successfully the normal tadpoles. The egg proceeds to develop and subdivide and creating its progenies, no matter where it obtains the correct set of matching chromosomes. If one could obtain the chromosomes of the old mummies from the ancient Egyptian days, it would be possible to develop a human clone in their image. There are experiments being reported by an Institute of Society, the Ethics and Life Sciences in Hudson, which show that there is a technique for cloning humans. It is possible to take the nuclei of any human cell, not necessarily from the sex organs, and introduce its 23 sets of complete chromosomes into the female ovum or the egg, thus leading to the conception and birth of a predetermined individual. Who is for an experiment? Anybody? In normal conception, father and mother chromosome sets merge together and split to remain at 23 chromosome pairs, leading to chance combinations. But in cloning the offspring, the child is an exact replica of the source of the unsplit set of chromosomes. Our scientists have already mastered the genetic engineering and know how to make the exact copies of human beings. If we had preserved their cell nuclei, we could produce limitless numbers of Mozarts and Einsteins, even Nikola Tesla. There is still a chance, something to hope for. However, would the replica possess the spirit of the man? The newly created man would probably be a totally different person, not recognizable with its, her, or his characteristics as those who lived once upon a time, maybe even forming into humanoids like empty husks. Nobody at this stage can guess. The art of genetic engineering is not limited to one type of process only. Researchers all around the world have perfected the process of cell fusion, wherein it is possible to fuse cells together rather than combining the chromosomes within a single cell. As a result, cells from different sources can be fused into one supercell, holding within itself the two nuclei and a double set of the paired chromosomes. When the cell splits, the mixture of nuclei and the chromosomes may split in a pattern different from that of each cell before the fusion, and the result can be two new cells, each genetically complete, but each with a brand new set of genetic codes, completely garbled compared with the ancestor cells. Like it or not. This means that the cells from incompatible living organisms, that of a chicken and that of a mouse, you can consider the rest. Would it be possible? Consider that on other planets, different planets, it has been tried. They can be fused to form new cells with brand new genetic mixers that would produce some extraordinarily different and new animals which are neither chickens nor mice, as one may guess, on Earth. This process can also permit us to select which traits of one life form shall be imparted to the combined or fused cell. This would probably lead to the development of wider field of genetic transplant. It is now possible to pick up a certain bacteria and a single specific gene and introduce it into an animal or human cell, giving the offspring an added characteristic. Earthian scientists are quite capable of doing just that. Now going back to the subject of the Nephilim, we can assume that they were capable of space travel 450,000 years ago, were also advanced compared to humans living on planet Earth today in the sciences of life. We can further assume that they were also aware of the various alternatives by which two pre-selected sets of chromosomes could be combined to obtain a predetermined genetic result, and that whether the process was similar to cloning, cell fusing, or genetic transplantation, or methods as yet unknown to Earthlings, they knew these processes and could carry them out. Not only with the lab tubes and a flask, but also with the living organisms. Interestingly, we can find a reference to such mixing of two sources in the olden texts. According to Berosus, there was a deity, Balus, or Lord, also known as Deus, meaning God in Latin, who brought forth hideous-looking beings which were produced of twofold principle. What can be thought of, do you think? I'll leave it to you. That we are going to consider by the next episode. For now, however, smile and be happy. I shall be meeting you here again by the next episode. Thank you.